All right, we're going to jump into REOs now. That's real estate owned by banks. That's the way I think of it, REO, real estate owned. These are properties that went through foreclosure. They went through the whole process. They didn't get purchased at the trustee's sale because there was a bid put on it that's too high, which remember, that happens 98% of the time. Very few properties get purchased by professionals down on the courthouse steps. About 2 out of 100 that are listed, all right, listed for sale. The rest get postponed, canceled, or get a bid that's too high, and they go back to the bank. So that becomes an REO. The banks are not real efficient about listing those, but they are planning to list those at some point with an agent. I think the numbers are about 13 months before they actually close with a new buyer. They're just, some banks will list them fairly quickly. Some will take a long time. There's one in my neighborhood. We're wondering when it's going to get listed. So we're going to watch that. We're going to check it, report back to you. So remember, you need to know your numbers as you're picking targets. You advanced guys are going to do multiple targets, but as a beginner, you're going to look for areas you think will work for your marketplace, and you're going to find that first transaction and have a good experience so you can move on to the next. In my neighborhood, I should say my neighborhood, my county, there's 8,243 active listings total, right? That's everything. Of those, 1,176 are keyed in as REOs. They're on the market, they're listed, they're owned by a bank, they went through the trustee sale, they're now an REO. That's 14% of our active market. In the pending area, you might remember, if you watched the other video today, you might remember that we had 2,758 total pending sales, meaning they're in escrow, buyers trying to get their loan. If it's a short sale, they're trying to get short sale approval to close. If it's an REO, you're trying to get everything approved by the bank to close, jumping through all those hoops to make it happen. Right now, pending, remember there's 2,758, but of those, 1,003 are pending sales that are keyed in as REO. All right, that's 36% of our pending sales. In the closed area for the last 30 days, you might remember that we had 1,626 closed transactions in Sacramento County. 581 of those, or 36%, were keyed in as REO. So that's a significant part of the marketplace. It's something you need to give some attention to. There's many REO agents out there because in this day and age, a lot of agents can qualify online to become an REO agent. They take a few REO listings. There's a scoring system. If things go well, they'll get more listings. So right now, you're going to want to develop some kind of relationship with the agents. If you've already been talking to agents, you should have already asked them if they have any REOs. If you don't know any agents do REOs yet, try to find out in your town who does the most. The big teams, you're not going to get to talk to the agent too often, but you might get to talk to their teammates, their assistants, and find out if they have a list of cash buyers. Find out if you can get on that list. Often they'll already have things developed. If that's the case, move on to the smaller ones. Somebody with 10, 15, 20 listings that are REO, find out if you can put yourself on their list. They want to be notified when there's a property that requires cash. You can also, if you're already working with a realtor, have them key in a stored search that alerts them when a new REO comes on the market, especially if it needs cash. But they should be watching every REO in case they get listed low. Once in a while, they'll get listed lower than what you think you can do. Maybe the bank thought it was a little beat up, interpreted the comps a little different than you did. They send someone out to do what they call a BPO, a broker price opinion. Maybe for some reason that broker was tough on it. For some reason it was on a busier street, or something they didn't like about it. All right, and they gave it a lower value. The bank wanted to sell it. They listed it low. You look it over and think, my offer won't look so bad on that one, because sometimes the retail's here and they list it up there, and you need to buy it down here. Then your offer looks really bad. But once in a while they list them what you thought you could get. Maybe they list a little below that, and maybe the work isn't so much. So you can make an offer that doesn't look silly. All right. So watch for that. Build some contacts that can give you alerts when one comes on that you might be able to buy. I do think having the cash advantage, raising that money. Remember, it's important to have proof of that fund. So let's say you're working with a couple of key investors, and they're willing to give you a bank letter or some other way of proving that the money is available. You're going to want to use that. All right. You want to submit with your offer the proof that you have the cash. You want to develop some sources. You know, in the 90s, I was fortunate enough to develop some good sources for REOs. I purchased 150 bank-owned properties from 93 to 96, about 50 properties per year. And once I got those relationships developed, those realtors called me. You know, I didn't have to call them. They were bringing us possible transactions almost every day or every other day. I remember one month I bought 7 in 1 month. For some of you, that would be a great year. You know, if you could buy 7 properties a year and make a nice profit on each one, it would add up to a significant amount of cash that will allow you to grow your business or do other things. All right? So to think about that. If you can develop 10 agents that know you as a buyer, that would contact you when they think they have a good one for you, you would be getting contact fairly frequently and you would meet your objective for your goals. You see? That's how you'll do it. Interestingly enough, one of the reasons I got those 150 deals and the reason they kept coming back to me is I didn't do what I call beat them up after I got my offer accepted. It's a very common technique, especially among investors, to make an offer to get it accepted, knowing full well that they're going to do an inspection and they're going to beat them up, you know, take something off that price, try to, all right? I was known not to do that. When I say I, it wasn't just me. It was my brother, was my partner, and one other person, my mentor, so to speak, the only guy I thought in town that knew more than I did about this stuff. We teamed up and worked for about 6 years, I think it was, together, buying all these properties and working our way into the large apartment complexes, which basically set all of our families up with an income for life, all right? And remember, this whole training thing that I'm finally doing after all these years is all about helping you. All right, it has to be. It has to be a win-win. If this thing goes well, of course I win, but I already have a strong real estate practice. And remember, I didn't want to give that up. All right, finally I've been approached to teach many times. I'm doing it now because we can do it this style. We can do it over the internet. We can do it for near nothing per month to you. It's a very nominal fee, but yet it's hands-on, real, and we're always going to be reporting what works. As I start to buy more REOs in my area, I'm going to let you know what's working, you know, which lenders are going for it, all that stuff. So we developed those relationships back then. We didn't beat them up on price after we got them accepted. You can choose any style you want, but I'm telling you that worked for me. They got to the point where when I made an offer on something and somebody else made a higher offer, they often would tell me, we're going to take yours because you close all the time. And that was my next claim to fame in that market, so to speak. I never put one in escrow and then not closed. You'd be surprised how many of your competitors will put something in escrow, and I understand it. I put stuff in escrow before I raise the money sometimes, but I always raise the money, all right? I always found the money to close and close on time. There's folks out there that get themselves a little overextended. They thought they had the money, but that person they're working with doesn't have anymore, you know, and they don't get it closed. They back out of the transaction, and that bank and that realtor working with that bank perhaps doesn't call them the next month on another one, right? Because we closed 100% of our transactions and because we didn't beat them up on price, we got more transactions. Remember, it all goes back to that win-win concept. You know, you're always going to see that throughout my whole program. That you're always open and honest with people. You're always telling them the way it is. You're a straight shooter, you know. You don't beat around the bush. You don't have time for that, all right? You're busy. You need to do transactions, all right? So I often now will look at a property ahead of time on these. That's the other great news. You get to see them. Your realtor can get you into those. I look at them. I do my own estimates on my repairs. I come back here. I have a spreadsheet that I use. And when I make an offer, I can say no further inspections are needed. That's an indication to them that I'm not going to beat them up afterwards. Maybe there's 2 other offers, all subject to inspections, all subject to a 10-day or 17-day period for inspections. Mine's going to say, and often I'm going to remove the inspection contingency as I make the offer. There's going to be hundreds of little tricks to the trade. That's one of them. All right, there's going to be hundreds that we're going to give you in these videos. So watch for those and understand that that's what worked for me, probably will work for you. Always close on time so that you can get that next deal. Eventually, you're not hunting for deals anymore. You're now a real estate investor. You're now closing deals on a regular basis. You can focus on getting that product in top-notch shape at a reasonable cost, putting it on the market, I like to call that putting it on the shelf for sale at the best price and the best condition so that you can get a good buyer, do a win-win transaction on the outbound deal too. Give them a good transaction, get that thing done, and while you're doing that, instead of hunting for more deals, you've developed a source that will now call you. You develop several sources and you won't have any problem at all doing the volume of transactions that you need. Think about that. If you develop that REO area and they're coming to you on a regular basis and you're meeting your objective, it also gives you time to poke around at the other methods, see if any of those are starting to work in your marketplace, and you'll be off and running in other areas before other investors because you had the time to go and look. You had the time because you did it right. You did the transactions correctly. You closed on time. You didn't beat them up. You always do what you say you're going to do, and then it's less effort after a while. It takes a lot of effort to get this thing started. It takes less effort after everything's running well, and now you can improve in all your other areas, and you can develop new sources for business, and you can think about it, you can plan it, and you can grow. Once again, thanks for being a member. This is starting to get pretty exciting on this end. I hope it's getting exciting on your end. I'm looking forward to the next video. Thank you very much.